So I guess it gets kicked over to me. Hi, everybody. Here we go again, right? That's all I'm thinking about with this having never been a superintendent during the good times. Um, it's just a constant pattern that we see, and this is going to make it worse than ever. And Bruce, I just appreciate your work. I also want to point people to a piece that Bruce wrote for us in Kaplan a few months ago about the imbalances in funding around small city districts. I think you mentioned Allentown, Reading, places like that, particularly districts that serve a lot of Latinx kids. It's a really fascinating paper, and it just shows how our public education system, it has always been intentionally designed to oppress many and privilege few. And we're going to see a continuation of that, I think, going forward. So my angle here, as usual, is the sort of practical side of this, how it happens, what's going to happen in school districts over the next couple of years, and I'll offer a couple recommendations, perhaps. I do think that we are already starting to see an increased challenge around equity issues in our schools, and well, or virtually now, right? We're seeing how some families are going to be okay and they're going to be fine, and the inequities that exist are actually being uncovered a little more, which I think is good, right? We're starting to see that some families are really challenged, and the coronavirus crisis has highlighted that. And then we're going to come back to school eventually, and there's going to be a lot less money, and there's going to be a lot of fighting over what to do with it. And those who have entitlement, and those who have privilege, and those who have access to power will demand that there are resources and supports to catch their kids up, to compact curriculum, to get a year and a half or a year and a quarter worth of learning over over 12 months. I think we're gonna see more segregation. I think we're gonna see more tracking, and we're gonna see an increased just pursuit of still making AYP and achieving on standardized test scores is the only thing that matters. And the families that have always been left behind, to use that term, in our public school systems will be even more so. And school districts won't have the resources to do anything about it, right? They'll be cut in lots of ways. We need systems to keep track of every single child and every single family. We're going to see an increased mobility. We can guarantee that kids will be moving within schools, within school districts. They're going to be moving from school to school. They're going to be moving among school districts as well. How are school districts going to keep track of that? How are we going to make sure that families have the services and supports when we're going to see these rapid budget cuts? We're going to see a lot of political theater at the local level and at the state level, which, politicians, particularly in the smaller cities where they don't get a lot of play, but they do during the budget time, right? They're going to demand that there is increased ROI for every dollar that's spent. They're going to demand that school district leaders can show that there's a return on the investment, and that's going to be a challenge for school district leaders to be able to show. There's going to be cuts to central office. And there's going to be the marketplace will likely seize upon that to continue to push their solutions, oftentimes incentivized by title dollars, right? That really tend to suggest that there are programs out there that can simply be used when rather than having good principles. And we're going to see a decline in professional learning, unfortunately, right? That's one of the things that always gets cut out of school district budgets when you see this, which means I think it's an opportunity to rely on teacher leadership, frankly, which we should rely on a lot more for good schooling. And if there's ever an opportunity to do so, I think this is going to be one that we see. I'm really concerned that any momentum that we've seen recently in social emotional learning and project-based learning and things like that will take a back seat to the most basic issues that concern school districts and that they're judged on, which is standardized test scores. I do think there are some things that school systems can do right now, and particularly thinking about leaders, and I'll just sort of stop on this. There is an issue around transparency, right, and around decision-making processes. And our polling every year shows that funding is the number one issue that people are concerned about when we do our annual PDK poll, right? And we've also shown that people are absolutely supportive of increasing teacher pay and getting money to the classroom, right? So we know that the public supports it at the local level. Principals and teachers and superintendents need to really lobby and their politicians to make sure they don't make the kind of draconian cuts we're going to see, or they reallocate resources. But we also saw in a recent poll that we just did, school district administrators are much more concerned about next year's budgets than teachers. And part of that is, the school district administrators know a lot more, but I really think there's an opportunity here to involve teachers, to involve parents, to involve community in really thinking about what's most important. We know funds are going to be limited. And there's a process question that comes into this. There's a transparency question. And there's frankly an opportunity for community engagement to make sure that we don't do what we've always done, which is continue to take away from those who have the least. And we make some hard decisions about making sure that those who need the most get the most, particularly as we think about assigning talent to task. The number one equity lever that folks have in school district is assigning the best teachers to the most vulnerable kids. And while we're not going to be able to add a lot of programs and add a lot of resources and supports, but 90% of school district budget is people. That's going to be cut. We know class size is going to go up. We know we're not going to be able to hire as much, but we can assign talent to task to make sure that the most vulnerable actually get what they need. So it's going to be dire. It's going to be difficult. But I do think that the leaders who engage their communities in the decision-making process and are really honest and frank about how they're going to deal with it will come out ahead or come out better than others in the next couple of years.